Are you always coming up with ideas? Do you marvel at successful business owners? Do you hate being told what to do? Ever take things apart just to see how they work? Are you a dreamer? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Pro Tapes and Specialties is the world leader in tape manufacturing and specialty conversion with over 40 years of experience. In addition to our pro brand of high-quality specialty adhesive tapes, we provide contract converting services that help improve your profitability, streamline your supply chain, and reduce inventory cost. We offer the most complete range of converting capabilities in the industry, such as cloth tape, double-coated tape, specialty tape, paper tape, masking tape,
vinyl tape, carton sealing tape, adhesive transfer tape, duct tape, foam tape, electrical tape, filament tape, foil tape, reflective tape.
And the tape just keeps on rolling. Visit us online today at www.protapes.com or call us at 800-345-0234. Pro Tapes, it's just how we roll.
Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Entrepreneurial Enclave, Life's Coming Attraction. I am your host, Kevin Wortham. Man, this evening I've got Akeya on the other line, and she is going to talk about marketing, especially in the digital age. Akeya, welcome to the platform. How are you this evening?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Let's begin. What is the name of your company?
The name of my business is the Hustle Lab.
The Hustle Lab. No, I love it. Why did you call it the Hustle Lab?
Honestly, it's a twofold answer. So The first part would be when I graduated from high school, on the top of my cap, I wrote the quote, "Reach the world, but touch the hood first." And I was like, okay, how do I embody that in my name? Like, I want to live that quote to the fullest. How do I embody that in my name? And I was like, the one thing that growing up in Trenton gave me was hustle, ambition. So that's part of it. Okay. And then another part of it was like, I was like, let's step outside of the box. Like, you're so used to the last name and co, or something really generic when it comes in the marketing field, or something that says just like agency. And I was like, what embodies me?
Yes.
So that's where the name kind of came from, was just a mixture of trying to embody that quote and then also being original and being true to who I am, even in a field where sometimes that's not always welcomed, I guess.
Okay, I love it. So within the Hustle Lab, what services do you provide?
So we are constantly expanding, but as of now, we offer website building, we manage social media, we manage podcasts, as well as we also do like print marketing. So if you need a flyer design, your business cards, or postcards design, we go ahead and get those designed for you, and then you would get them printed through a third party.
Whoa, wait. Now, how did you come up with this idea? Were you always passionate about media and marketing?
It's so crazy you say that. You asked me that, right? Because at first I wasn't.
Okay.
I kind of always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur since a kid, and it looked like different things throughout the course of my life.
Yes.
And then I got to this point, once again, goes back to the quote, reach the world, but touch the hood first. And I was like, okay, so I know so many hustlers in my life, so many people that have like, I'm selling platters from out my kitchen, or, I make t-shirts. Like, I know people who do all of these things. And I'm like, but why don't they ever leave that phase? And at first I was like, okay, maybe it's the capital, which I think that's part of it.
Okay.
But then I realized a big part of it was the consistent marketing. It's like, I've seen a lot of people in my world will go like be really aggressive in the beginning. Like, hey, I got these platters, can we get these platters. And then it would kind of fizzle out as they got bored with it or whatever. And so I was like, okay, well, the real thing is they need someone to focus on their marketing so they can focus on cooking or making the shirts or showing up to the speaking engagements. I'll handle the social media and all the marketing. That's what I love to do. And if I can help people be better versions of themselves or get themselves into doors or into opportunities that they wouldn't have before, why not? So that's kind of where the marketing side came from. And when I started to get into the marketing is when I was like, man, this is perfect. I kind of landed in the right spot.
All right. So now, so within the Hustle Lab, what is your primary demographics in terms of people who are going to utilize your services?
So primarily I work with a lot of small business owners, especially those that promote their services in an online space.
Yes.
I have worked with people who are like, okay, I just want a flyer. But mostly the people that I see a lot of times are small business owners that are using like social media. They need a website, people that even are venturing into creating their own content. So they're having YouTube channels and podcasts. But yeah, mostly small business owners. I've been working with some locally, but I've even worked with people from outside of the state at this point because it is a digital agency.
I love it. I love it. Now, one of the things that I'm just getting into and I'm just realizing is that in terms of where I am being an old head, OG, and dealing with millennials, how do I stay relevant in the mindset or in the eyesight of a millennial? How do I, or not just me, but how does a person my age, how do we stay relevant in that space that you guys operate?
Yeah, so I think staying relevant is understanding first that like very rarely are there new things invented, right?
Yes.
So things just sort of like change shapes a little bit. So we're like maybe early 2000s, we're going to say you were listening to radio to find out about new things or maybe hear radio jingles and commercials. Now people listen to podcasts. So just think of where maybe we did radio. Now let's go to podcast route because now people can, with the podcast, it gives you some agency over what you can talk about.
Yes.
All of that, it's less rules because we're not on the airwaves. So then there's that. And then there's like, okay, where people usually watch TV and stuff like that, people don't really watch cable as much anymore.
Yes.
Not to say that commercials don't do well, but we see people transitioning to social media and streaming services. Yes. So if you were going to advertise your business, you might want to go to social media route. You might want to try to get your ad on Hulu versus like Channel 6.
Yes.
So just really thinking of, there's not much new invented under the sun, but how have our media resources and our media sources changed and evolved? And so we can kind of see that coming through with these new podcasts, audio books, social media, different forums like Reddit. Those are big in our world. So just ways where people can connect and get access to new information.
Got you. Now, don't beat me up when I ask this question, but this is the Entrepreneurial Enclave and its platform. When you started your business, did you create a business plan?
I did.
Oh, good. Okay, we can continue to talk because it is so funny as to how many people I meet that claim to sell platters, and I don't want to be dismissive, but there's not much I can do to assist you if you're not prepared to go legitimate and to create a business plan. So I'm so glad that you've done that. So since you've been in business, what have been some of the challenges that you've had to overcome?
So it's been some challenges as far as sometimes people questioned my credibility at first because I was young. I started while I was still in college.
Yes.
And people would say like, sometimes people didn't even know that I just turned 22 last week. Okay. But people didn't even know I was in my 20s. Like people were like, oh, wow, you're in your 20s. So I was kind of up against that a little bit, like letting people know like I might be young, but I'm experienced. I got this, right? I've been doing this for a while.
Yes.
And then some other experiences I noticed right up front was like kind of capital. I was bootstrapping everything, funding everything, like working at Target and then using my checks to put into my business. But in marketing, like I was trying to invest in, content creation is a big thing in our world, social media. So I needed to invest in cameras and equipment and tripods, which I got kind of pricey in the beginning. But I ended up connecting with some powerful entrepreneurs through social media. connecting me to like business credit opportunities and like grants I could apply for. So those are some of my first few challenges, was really getting the capital to get my business, get the resources and equipment I needed to market myself the way that I knew that I could. Then also going up against, you know, being young and people assuming I wasn't experienced.
Yes, but again, if you're you know, because you would consider yourself a generational Z, would you?
I would. It's funny you say that. It's like I'm like in between, because it's like I can relate to some things with millennials.
Okay.
Most things with millennials. But then there's some things with Gen Z, like, you know, the use of like having the use of social media at your fingertips kind of thing.
Yes.
I could relate to that.
Now, being in business, has there been anything that you've had any regrets about?
Regrets? I'm gonna say, not believing in myself sooner. You know, kind of dragging my feet about going ahead and launching my business. Okay. That was one thing I struggled with.
Okay.
Well before I said, hey, I'm doing this business and it's going to be a marketing agency.
Let me stop you, Akeya. You said that you weren't believing in yourself. Where was the breakdown in that thought?
Really, it was like, am I ready? What happens if this doesn't take off? Because I knew I had always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I went to business school and I was like, okay, I know I don't even want to touch a job fresh out of school. I want to touch my business.
Yes.
And I was like, can I do this? Like, you know, it was so many expectations of like, oh, you got the degree. What are you going to do with it? And I feel like sometimes when you say, I'm going to start a business, people are like, okay, and what else?
Yeah.
And I kind of let that get in my head a little bit. But yeah, I think that's my biggest regret, is not like, you know, if I was going to go into the job market, I knew that I was competitive in the job market. So why was I not translating that to being competitive in the entrepreneurship world?
Got you. Now, in terms of you being in business, being in the industry, how important do you have a mentor currently?
Mentorship is big. I can't say that I have any one mentor. I actually learn from a lot of people, and I think that's what's helped me the most, is because a lot of what I do in marketing is really understanding how the brain works and how humans interact with products and people. And learning a lot about, like, people don't buy products, they buy stories, they buy people. And so the more people that I've encountered that may have lived a little bit more life than me, or been through experiences that I haven't, or maybe we share experiences, but we have different perspectives in those experiences, that has helped me grow, because it can only help me better understand the human experience. So mentorship, connections, networking has been major for me, because it opens my eyes to different perspectives.
Yeah, I love it. You know, one of the interesting things that I love about you is that you sound as if you've been around longer than the 22, 23 years. So I thank you. So now,
thank you.
Where do you see your business 3 years from now, 5 years from now?
Oh man, I have so many dreams, but
Excellent.
Definitely, I want to work more with local businesses, especially like I said, I'm finally done college, so now I have the space to show up in spaces, not just on the Zoom call, but actually meeting with people, attending events, helping people market their events. So I definitely see myself expanding into event marketing. So having the digital arm, and then also having that physical touch where I can attend my clients' events and help them, you know, get people to attend the events, as well as help them make a good impression on their attendees at the event. And then beyond that, I hope to also get brand partnerships, because I use a lot of equipment. Like, you know, I have equipment from Sony, I have ring lights, I use different softwares like Canva and stuff like that. So I hope to eventually be able to have some brand partnerships where I can partner with them to maybe teach webinars, or to help people get access to their software and this equipment. So that's some of my big goals for the next 3 to 5 years, to start making those connections and building up my portfolio.
I love it. Oh my man, you're an old woman now. Now I want to go back to the George Floyd, Breonna Taylor social injustice.
Mm-hmm.
Since I guess slowly but surely, we're coming out of this pandemic, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see businesses for Black folk and people of color, where do you see that growing? Do you see more of us jumping into that space?
I see a lot of Black-owned businesses popping up.
Okay.
I see a lot of people starting businesses. I think now what the challenge is going to be is maintaining them and keeping them open.
Okay.
And so I see a lot of people on social media starting new things. There's a bunch of like Facebook groups, hashtags all around just Black-owned businesses. And I see this push for, Black consumers, Black people
Yes.
to say, hey, if I can get this Black-owned, I want it Black-owned.
Yes.
So that's an amazing thing that I'm seeing, especially coming out of, like you said, the George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, the whole pandemic, a lot of the stuff that happened as far as like, the protests, things like that. I see so many Black people like, hey, I used to buy, I don't know, laundry detergent from your standard Walmart or Target, but now I want Black-owned laundry detergent. So I see that whole push, and it's beautiful.
I love it. And agree. It is beautiful. So with your business, how do you go about attracting a potential client? Is there an interview process? How do you go about that?
So a lot of my clients have found me on social media because one thing I'm big on is authenticity. So
Yes.
a lot of my businesses, social medias kind of step outside the box, and I share pieces of my own life. Like, hey, listen, I started a business with my own dollars too, with my own hard work. I started that too, so I get it. I can empathize with the process and empathize with the frustration that sometimes comes with that. So a lot of people I've attracted through social media, and then once they find me on social media, they usually follow, and then there comes like, oh, hey, I want to work with you. They might drop a comment or send me a DM or send me an email, and then from there we hop on a consultation. I just ask people, tell me about what you're trying to do. Where do you want to take this? Some of the same questions you just asked me, like, where do you see yourself?
Yes.
And then from there, I'm able to get an idea of where the destination is. Now it's my job to kind of map out how we're going to get there.
I love it. Oh my God. So now the process, let's say if someone wanted you to come on board inside their shop and design logo, the web space, you could do all of that and also create the advertising content for them as well?
Yep, all of that. So essentially, can go in, especially if you have a brick or mortar, it would be really helpful for me, to set up a meeting, for me to see what you do, to just watch you in your process. Like, you don't even have to really talk to me, in that process, just to let me watch as customers come in and out so I can get an idea of like, okay, this is what customers come here for. This is what they love. This is what they enjoy. And then we take that process and we move it to, okay, how do we capture that on a website? What information do people need to know? Do they need to see your menu? Do they need an about page? Do they need a booking calendar? What information do they need to know on your website?
Yes.
And then from there, I also attack what information would they like to see on their timeline on a day-to-day basis that would attract them to go to your website or that brick and mortar. So do they need to see the smoothie of the day, or do they need to see someone trying on your clothing?
Yes.
And we kind of work together on getting that content created, and me still keeping your brand voice, keeping the originality of my client and of their business, because it's not my business, it's yours. So we need to maintain that voice. And then I start distributing that content, whether that be blogs or podcasts or social media posts.
Now, with all that you do, I don't know if you mentioned, do you do public relations for a client? Do you have the ability to do that as well?
Yes, I do. So I actually just entered that space. So I worked with the local media brand where I kind of worked a little bit with the public relations, and then I'll be working with the Block Trenton, which is a nonprofit, and I'll be doing a lot of their public relations as far as calling newspapers in when they have events and press release and things like that.
Oh my God, I love this. So you are a one shop person so far?
So far, yep. And the plan is to continue to build the agency, so to be able to employ people underneath so they can use their skill set.
Wow, I love it. Now, if I've missed anything, please jump in now and fill in the spaces. So anything you think I need to know and the listening audience needs to know.
I think one thing and understanding marketing is understanding people, right?
Okay.
So a big part of what I see on social media is sometimes people get so caught up on that social media world that they forget that social media is supposed to capture what we're doing with our real life.
Yes.
So we want to live a life that's interesting in real life and just capture what we're doing on camera.
Yeah. Man, I see some fake stuff out there, boy. Man, that's all right. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it's just, it makes social media so much better of an experience when it's like, oh, you're just living your regular life. You just happen to cut the camera on while you were doing it.
Yeah.
You know, kind of think of content like that. Like, this is something I would usually be doing. This is what my day looks like, or this is what an event I would usually attend. And I just cut my camera on. I just started recording, or I just decided to reflect on my experience at this event in a blog post or whatever. So I think that's major, is maintaining that authenticity and still remembering that we live real lives and we're touching real people. And as entrepreneurs, we solve real problems. And so at the heart of marketing is that truth, is that realness. I think if that was something I had to say, I would want people to know, it's definitely that. Maintain the authenticity of who you are and who your business is to your customer.
Now, one of the problems that I have with social media sometimes is I think that sometimes social media creates this narcissistic attitude or backdrop about who we are. I'll give you for instance. There's guys and girls that I've grown up with. Never heard them speak a day in my life. And now all of a sudden they are philosophizers. Like, what the hell are you doing? Or sometimes, as you said, people just routinely turn on the camera to go live, but there is there's no real purpose, right? And I think narcissistically they do that just to see how many likes that they get. And I think that it makes it hard for people like you and I who are really trying to put out genuine, good, authentic content. We've got to weed through all this minutia, because at some point it comes down to like this cliquish following. Now that's my boy. I really don't like him anyway, but I kind of like his post. So now he's amped up and he continues to post the same nonsense. Like, who cares if you went to McDonald's for lunch, right? Is it right? I mean, is there a real genuine story as to why you went live at McDonald's, or you just want to share with us that you went to McDonald's? But then you'll look at his post. He's got like 300 people responding. I'm like, see, this is why we can't even get ahead. Like,
right.
So I say all that to say this: when you are working with a client, what is the appropriate number, if there is one, for how often you should post to your page?
So that, I'm glad you asked that, because I feel like that's a common misconception, right? There's no appropriate number, right? Because so many people get on social media and say, do this just like this to get 6 figures, or do this just like that. And all they're doing is telling you what they did for their business to get to that point. But you and I both know that each business kind of has a delicate balance where you got to assess your business, your goals, your customers. And so when it comes to the appropriate amount of times you should post, ideally, that's going to change with the platform that you're on. Some platforms move a lot faster than others. That's just the reality. Like, TikTok moves a lot faster than maybe you might say something like Reddit, but then it's also going to change depending on your customers, right? Because there's different types of social media users. There's the person who always has their phone in their hand, and then there's the person who checks social media only on their lunch break. So who are your customers? And if your customers are the people that only check social media on their lunch break, well, then you probably should make sure you're posting Monday to Friday at 12 p.m. Maybe you don't need to post Saturday and Sunday because your followers don't check social media on Saturday and Sunday. So really just knowing your business and knowing your customers. That's why I say it always comes back to that real human experience. And we can't really understand how people use social media until you get out in the field and ask them, why do you use social media? When do you check it? I know people that log out of social media for days at a time and then I just want to hop on Facebook today. I'm going to log in today for a couple of hours and then log back out, so.
Okay. Yeah. I live on Facebook. Now, so now, where'd you go to high school?
I actually went to the Pennington School right outside Trenton.
Yeah. I've had quite a few of my friends that have gone to Pennington. I've actually had a few friends that have actually taught there. So wonderful school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Mhm.
wonderful school. Yeah, okay, God, this is fantastic. Okay. Now, with my next question, I want to ask this question first. Any shout outs that you want to give to anyone that may be listening, not at this time, but when it does come out? Anyone you want to give a shout out to or thank you to?
Man, I'll first say shout out to everybody who has supported me, right?
Okay.
I don't want to miss anybody.
Yes.
But special shout out to definitely my parents. Those
Yes.
have been the people behind me. They've seen the frustration and where I'm near tears because I'm like, I can't figure this out.
Yes.
And, you know, they helped me to get over that, especially trying to launch a business while finishing my last year of college.
Yes.
So they've been a great help to me.
All right. Shout out to your parents. All right. And you know what's so funny? When I started my very first business when I was a junior in college.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that time, when you started talking about entrepreneurship, right? My parents couldn't even pronounce that. And they said, what the hell are you doing? I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to be my own boss. That was like against the curve because, again, based on who they were and how they grew up, if you went to college, you were looking for a job.
Yeah.
You weren't looking to be creative. You weren't looking to change the world. You were looking for a job. You would do your 25, 30, 35 years. You may retire. You may get a pension. You may get a gold watch. That was it.
Right.
But I'm grateful because it was through that consistency it allowed me in this generation to dream. So I certainly do get that. But in the beginning, man, it was like trying to pull teeth because I couldn't get them to understand that word or let alone pronounce it. But now Mom has some pride about herself, particularly when I talk about the work that I do with minding our business. And you know that we teach young folks how to start and run businesses. So we've been doing that for 25 years. So now Mommy understands that. But when I was coming out, don't know what the boy is doing. So now, if you had to do this all over again, what would you change, Akeya?
Oh man, if I had to do it all over again,
yes,
definitely going back to what I said. You know, looking at what I have done to say you've gotten here. And it was your abilities that brought you here, your support system that brought you here. So you can do anything you put your mind to. I think telling myself that sooner.
Yes.
And I think another piece would be definitely exploring my capital options. I wish that I had, asked more questions about capital. Like starting off, I didn't have, like you said, I didn't have parents or grandparents that had businesses.
Yes.
So it was like I was kind of trying to figure it out on my own. That was a big reason why I went to college because I'm like, hey, I need some help figuring out the business side of everything. And, they don't really tell you too much. Like they tell you, okay, you can get business funding in a general abstract, but they don't tell you like, okay, what does that all entail? Like where do I go? Who do I talk to? What's a good offer? What's a bad offer? So I kind of just assumed every entrepreneur was putting all of their own money into their business until I met a young woman on Instagram and she was like, it's so much easier to build a business with other people's money. And I was like, what? That's a concept. Yes. And then I got into, more into business funding and business credit and what that could open up for me. So I definitely wish I had tapped into that sooner if I had to do it all over. But honestly, even from the hiccups that I had in entrepreneurship, I realized that failure is not a stopping point. It's a milestone in the process. You can't, you have to learn, the only way you learn how to walk when you're like a baby is like, you got to fall a few times and realize you don't want to fall again. Absolutely, so the next time you get up, you're going to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Now, so I lost my thought. Gee whiz, I lost my thought. I got it. Here we go. So now that you understand the importance of capital, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you also understand that for so many years, and even to this day, that a lot of times people of black and brown color, we don't always have access to
Yeah.
capital, and we don't have
Yeah.
access to the amount that we need. So
Yeah.
that too is going to also be a challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's getting better, not significantly better,
Definitely.
but it's getting better every day. And one of the challenges that I've always had was having to prove myself,
Yeah.
even when there was a proven track record. And I'll give you for instance, with the Minding Our Business program, right? We are not for profit, and we've got a strong history behind what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But every time we would go to write a grant or to get funding, let's say there was a program that I wanted to do, right? Let's
Mm-hmm.
say to really do that program, I would need $100,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would offer me $10,000,
Yeah.
and then expect me to do $100,000 worth of work, whereas my
Yeah.
counterpart didn't need. He would get the $100,000, but he would also get $110,000 because they would say to him, "Well, we know you're going to need more money." Like what?
Yeah. And that's so real. Like,
You know?
that's one of my biggest things. Like I
Yeah,
said, authenticity. I don't want to give up who I am
absolutely.
to get money.
Yeah,
So, certain routes, like you said, I didn't take for that
yeah,
reason. I hope that it will change for people coming underneath or, coming behind me.
yeah,
But yeah, that's so real.
yeah,
So real.
yeah. And then the other one is too. Now, black folks through many years, we tend to be uh, not trusting of our brothers and sisters. I'll give you another for instance. You can be in business and do business with a person of color. They mess up, we got to burn the whole shop down. But then you can do business with a Caucasian. They mess up, and you give them 4 or 5 chances to mess up again. And so
Yeah.
we've got to learn to be more accepting of our brothers and sisters, particularly when they're genuinely trying to do well, but
Mm-hmm.
they genuinely made a mistake. And so
Mm-hmm.
we've got to be very quick to dismiss that and give them opportunities to continue to earn our business. So that's another thing that we've got to work on as well. And then we've got to also
Yeah.
be supportive of one another. And then here's the other and then here's the third part of it. If I'm a person of color and I've got your business, just because we're both people of color, I can't make the assumption that your business is going to always be here. I've got
Mm-hmm.
to do those things to keep your business here. And whether that means a food service business or whatever the case may be, I've still got to treat you as if this is my first day doing business with you. And that's another lesson that we have difficulty understanding, because we assume that I've got you as a customer, I've got you as a client. I don't have to do anything. And my father would always say this about dating. Whatever you did to get her, you've got to do that to keep her.
Yeah, I think that all of what you said
yeah,
goes back to the
yeah,
human experience.
yeah. Daddy, you've never
Like,
been
if I'm
so
being
right.
real.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
how do people get in touch with you, Akeya?
Okay, I am on most of your major social media platforms.
Yes.
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. But you can all find me on the Hustle Lab LLC.
Yes.
Those are all those platforms, as well as I'm available via email as well. So that's the Hustle Lab LLC at gmail.com.
Yes.
Yeah, always open to questions, DMs, emails. I'm very open to helping, local businesses, even if you're just getting started.
Yeah. No, I love it. Now, we want to give a shout out to Jada. Now, I met you through Jada. Now, did you and Jada meet at the MOB reunion, or you guys had known each other before?
No, Jada and I have been friends for a very long time.
Awesome.
we both went to the Village Charter School together.
Yes. Jada, that's my girl. I love her
Yeah.
so much, and I can. She gets mad at me when I do like fondest memories, and I show her pictures of when she was like in 8th and 9th grade. She said, "Oh, Mr. Kevin, take that picture down." I said, "No, you've blossomed into a beautiful, wonderful woman. So let's show the progress." So again, shout out to Jada, and she's doing her thing too. We got to get her on the podcast as well. But I just want to thank you. And listen, this will not be the last time that we talk. I had mentioned to you that as we were doing some prep work, that I got to sit down with you and see if you can take a look at my business and see how you can assist me and help me grow my platform. Because the old man needs help. I know how to tape record, but I don't know the digital social media space as well as I should. And guess what? I'm not trying to learn it when I've got people like you who are in business, so I can engage your business to do likewise. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Now,
yeah, most definitely.
Where do you see the challenges as far as the Black entrepreneurial business community is concerned? Not just your challenges, but where do you see the Black entrepreneurial community challenges? Where do you see that?
I think part of it, like you said before, we don't give each other grace. Yes. And like you said, what you do to get the customer, you have to maintain that. Yes. And that goes back to the fancy term in business is customer acquisition and customer retention.
Yes.
All of that in my world looks like marketing, looks like keeping up with people, sending thank you notes. But It all comes back to, and you'll hear me say it a ton of times, that human experience. How would you like someone to respond after you spent your money with them? So I think giving each other grace, especially when like a new business is starting out, you see some hiccups in the business, but understand that they're new. Yes. We're all learning. And I think with giving other people grace, also giving yourself grace to understand that you don't have to have it. Obviously you come with your business plan, you do everything you can to prepare, but there will be some lessons that you're going to learn along the way. And I notice a lot of Black entrepreneurs that I work with sometimes feel like, I guess, because of the spaces we often are in where we have to prove ourselves, quote unquote, we always feel like we have to have it 100% together. Yes. And we kind of hesitate to make some of those steps in business because we feel we have to have it all together. Yes. But when we create a community where everyone's giving each other grace, and everyone's looking to connect to each other's humanity, connect to an experience, a customer experience that's unforgettable. Everyone's looking to have that same goal in mind. We can foster kind of like this, my dream would be Black Wall Street, except bigger. Black Wall Street everywhere. Black Wall Street where we're all connected via social media. So even if I'm from Trenton, I'm from New Jersey, let's say I travel in Houston, all I have to do is look up, look you up on TikTok, best places to eat in Houston. And I hope to find a bunch of Black restaurants on that hashtag. So that's the goal. Okay.
Or the best places in Houston to do tequila and a cigar. That's my thing.
Yeah.
No. Akeya, you have been fantastic. Listen, I can't thank you enough, but we're gonna stay connected. Did we cover everything?
I feel like we did.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to add that we need to know about you or your business? Because, again, this is the platform, and we're going to give you that unabridged conversation and time to do so.
Yeah, definitely. I'm available. I am into creative and daring marketing strategies. So stepping outside the box to get it done your way and connecting with customers. And I just want to thank you for having me on the platform. This is amazing. And I hope to continue to come to more events like the reunion and continue to work together.
Now, I got a test for you. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Once we drop your episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Work your magic. Let's just blow it up. I want this episode, because of your business and the space that you're operating in, just blow it up.
Okay.
And let me see your magic.
Okie doke.
Now I've got one more for you. Going back to the business plan. How often do you check in on your business plan?
Oh, all the time. Because so much, I know it's very traditional for people to write these 30-page business plans. I kind of took like a leaner approach to my business plan so that I can easily adapt it because so much changes, especially in my industry, because it's always a new marketing trend.
Yes.
It's always something. So you have to decide, is this trend a business opportunity? Is this something that I can actually seize, or is this just a trend that will kind of come and go?
Yes.
And so I look at my business plan pretty often to make sure that I'm, headed on the right path towards those 5-year projections like we talked about, as well as to make sure like I'm still serving that audience that I said I was here to serve.
Yeah, love it. But give me a number every 30 days, 60 days.
So I make sure to check it quarterly.
Okay.
But as things happen throughout that quarter, I might check it more often. I always review my financials monthly. But as far as the other pieces, as like, my marketing approach, as well as sort of like having those sales projections and things like that, I definitely make sure to always check that quarterly.
Touchdown. I love it. Fantastic. Akeya, one more time, what is the name of your business?
The Hustle Lab is the name of my business.
I love it. And how can people reach you via email?
Yep. So they can reach me at the Hustle Lab LLC at gmail.com or on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn.
I love it. Akeya, you have been fantastic. Let's stay connected. Let's talk and text.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome. Peace now.
Bye.
That concludes another episode of the Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. We hope you found this episode informative and enlightening. If you have any questions or comments about any of our episodes, please call 609-731-9311 or email kevin@minding-our-business.com. We look forward to joining us for our next one. Until next time.